Good morning, Laredo. I'm Jesus Chugasa, your host for 24/7 Laredo Talkshow. It's a free and original and independent news and lifestyle channel to talk about issues affecting Laredo. You can find us on Facebook by pressing the like button, and you can follow through with the rest of our shows by doing so. We do have a very special guest today, Pastor Micheal Smith, who's here on behalf of the United Methodist Church of Laredo, who's here to talk to us a little bit about the different programs that the church has. And of course, being the executive director of the Holding Institute vicinity, he's got some very interesting stories about the programs that he's carrying through. So I'm glad to have him today. Particularly, I want to talk to you, Pastor, about two programs that you are among 28 programs. Is the first one dealing with the refugees that you are taking care of, they're holding?
Sure, that's a program that makes the news most often. It gets the headlines because the large amount of people that are arriving in Laredo, the large amount of people that are traveling through Mexico and coming to Laredo, and a lot of people want to know exactly what's happening and how is that impacting our community.
Right. And so it's really, the church decided, well, they own Holding Institute, and you oversee the different programs, one of which is, like I said, these refugees that are here legally,
Yes, sir.
Approved by the INS, and you're actually taking care of them, or at least you are on behalf of the church. How many are we talking about?
So we've been, I think in 2014, 2015, when we saw the first flood of Central American immigrants passing through Laredo, we were doing hundreds of people every day. This new wave that started that people see in the news, the caravans, that started for us actually here in Laredo in August of last year. We started to see, at first it was just maybe 10 people every night, and then it got to capacity in maybe September, October, we were at 50 people a night, primarily people from Africa. And then in February, we got a surge of people from Guatemala, Honduras, and where we're at right now, we average about 60 people a night. And all these people are here legally. They've all been processed at a different port of entry. And so they all have a approved a temporary asylum status. It could be a couple of months, it could be a year, but they all have a court date. And so what we do basically is provide them temporary shelter, food, housing, clothing. We only take families at Holding.
Right.
And it's upwards of 50 people every night.
I know. I had a chance to go to Holding it, and I was very impressed with the type of work that's one of your programs that you oversee. But you're taking care of a lot of people there. How many countries right now do you oversee in terms of different types of refugees from different countries?
So we have people from Angola, Congo, Ghana. Those are all in West Africa. Then we have people from Cuba, Venezuela, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Peru, Russia. We've had people from all over the world. So.
Wow, incredible. Incredible. The church opened the doors to take care of a lot of people who certainly need a lot of help. These people were processed through the INS legally. They're here for a certain period of time. Normally, how long do they stay there at Holding with you, or how long do you keep them?
Well, the people that are placed at Holding are there for a minimum of 3 to 5 days. But we do have people that stay there longer. We've had people stay there over a month because of their medical situation.
Right.
So we have a pregnant mom. We have several pregnant moms right now that are all 8 months pregnant.
Incredible.
They're not able to travel.
Right, and so you're taking care of them. You provide them with what type of services there?
So we provide the basics, first of all, food, clothing, shower, but we also do counseling with them, and we also help them connect to their family. Wherever they are in the United States, help them continue on their journey.
So I would imagine when everyone's there, they're all talking different languages, and it's you have to somehow figure out a way to communicate with many of them.
Yeah, we have English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and then several native African languages. And so
I know
we do the best.
No, I know you do. I did notice, though, there were a lot of children that your organization takes care of. A lot of children. I didn't see many male adults there or any female adults in terms of single or people who are not family oriented or who have a family. What is your policy there at the church?
So we take families. So most of the time, the first part of the family that arrives is mom with a few kids, and dad with some other kids stay behind there. They typically get separated
Right.
in the journey or at the bridge. So we at Holding Institute primarily take families. We will take a single adult if there's a medical condition. We
Right.
have had single adults that are in wheelchairs or have medical needs that can't be met anywhere else. We will take them.
I did notice you had a few volunteers and just a lot of people who need a lot of help. I did notice that, and so obviously the church is doing its best to deal with this. Do you believe that where would these people be if they didn't have the church or didn't have Holding Institute available? I mean, do we have any facilities in Laredo, Texas?
There are no facilities for families. There are a few spaces that transitional housing is provided by Bethany House and other agencies, but they're already at capacity.
Right.
They're packed, and these people that are traveling through, it's supposed to be temporary. So if we didn't provide some accommodation for them, they would more than likely be out in the streets.
Right.
And many of these we have gotten from the streets because they don't know where to go in Laredo. So
Right.
you can pass through any plaza or any place downtown, and you'll see families that
Right,
are
exactly.
in need of assistance.
Exactly. What conversations? I mean, everybody who's there has asylum approved, at least temporarily approved by the federal government,
Yes,
which means they all had a credible fear of living in their particular country. What type of stories do you hear from them about their home countries?
Well, I've heard all kinds of stories, and most of them bring evidence with them of the stories, police reports, and stuff like that. Everything from violence to being forced to participate in activities against their will, or not only fear for themselves, but fear for their family. If you don't do this, your family will be harmed.
Okay.
And so you are correct. All of them have had interviews, and the official has decided that they have enough evidence presented to grant them at least this temporary asylum.
Why do you think a lot of these immigrants come to America?
Well, I think that
Based on what of all your conversations you've had with hundreds of them.
America, the U.S. still represents a hope, as complicated as it may be, which
Yes,
it
it
is
is.
very complicated. America still represents a hope at something better.
I take it then really when we talk about the word sanctuary as it's been heard by the public, it really doesn't, it may have, maybe humanitarily it affects your church, but legally that's not the same sanctuary thing that we hear about it with the government and with other people who have very strong opinions about sanctuaries.
Yes, so we're not a sanctuary city.
Okay.
We're not a sanctuary church or mission. So
No one can come there undocumented and just say, at least they're not going to be processed there. They're not going to be
Right.
dropped off there.
right.
That's not where they're going to be. They're basically everyone who's there is documented, been through the immigration service, have made their asylum claims on there, and they were allowed to come to the U.S. while their cases are all pending. And basically, the church has decided to sponsor them, or the other option would have been for the government to be paying for them inside a facility, a detention center.
Yeah, there is really no place for them. And we work very well with other agencies, with the Sisters of Mercy, with Catholic Charities, with Bethany House, with the Salvation Army. And even all of us agencies working together, it's still very difficult. All of us are stretched extremely thin. And I think we're doing a good job together, but it's just difficult to manage the number of people
Right.
that are arriving. It's
Well,
very
there
high.
was an increase in the last 2-3 months of about 50,000, more than 50,000 people being processed at the ports of entry, and so that's a huge increase in the last 4 or 5 years, and somehow they're going to end up going to your place, I would imagine. To your,
Yeah. And I think that some of that increase is due to the fact that people who are traveling through Mexico or traveling from other countries are really not sure what's happening in the U.S. So they're saying, well, let's just go now because
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Well, but the church does not take a position concerning the issue of the wall or the issue about all these immigrants, other than humanitarian aspects.
Exactly. We're looking at it as it's not a political thing. It's a humanitarian thing. A bottle of water is a bottle of water.
And it's important that that all of us understand that, because Some people really do have the impression that if you're taking on some asylum, some of these immigrants, that you are in fact maybe violating the law. But in reality, you're helping the U.S. government deal with this particular problem. If it wasn't for nonprofits or churches, we would have this huge problem that the city of Laredo would have to deal with themselves, I would imagine.
Yes,
What do you want, what type of needs do you think your facility needs or help from the public?
Well, we need assistance with basic stuff, anything from food, clothing to donations, gift cards, and all that, so we can buy. Not everybody has the same diet. We have a lot of kids, like you said, and we buy a lot of over-the-counter medications ourselves. We end up.
It looks like a daycare sometimes, actually, because you've got lots of 2 or 3 year olds running around the playground,
Yes.
and it's incredible. The mothers and it's an organized chaos, sort of, but it is accounted.
It is chaos. Yeah. Yes.
And so it is impressive in terms of the type of work the church is doing. And I would urge a lot of people to consider helping out in some way through providing some type of donation or through calling the church and see what they can do to help out in some capacity. We'll be right back and we'll continue with our conversation with Pastor Smith on these topics. Welcome back. We're here with Pastor Smith talking with him about Holding Institute and the type of programs that the church provides, the United Methodist Church provides here in Laredo. One of the issues that they do also take care of are the homelessness of Laredo, and there seems to be quite a few of them. Tell me a little bit about what y'all are doing.
So, in addition to what we do as far as education or outreach, we also provide a lot of care and counsel for our local homeless population, which is we have a very large homeless population in Laredo. And some people believe that the majority of these people are from out of town. Actually, the majority of our homeless population is local.
Yes, it is. I go back to the other issue. Are you basically dealing with family units as opposed to single adults, male or female, when you talk about homeless?
The homeless population that we serve at Holding Institute is primarily family units.
Family units. And you said most of them are from Laredo?
Yes, sir. Most of them are from Laredo.
And so if you didn't have your program, it'll be tougher for Bethany House and other nonprofits to be dealing with, because there'll be one less organization dealing with it, I would imagine, right?
Yes. It's a very difficult task. Very few organizations, and you can name them off the top of your head: Salvation Army, Bethany House, Catholic Charities, Sisters of Mercy. Very few people like to work in that field because it's very difficult, and your success rate is small. It's a challenging population.
It is, and what's sad about it is that you and I have, many of us have been going and driving down the road, and then we get stopped at the stoplight and asking for money, and some may just be panhandlers, and many of them are also homeless. And what struck me is when I went to your Holding Institute last week, and I saw some cars with some kids in there, and then I realized that you not only have people who spend the night there, these homeless families, but you have people living in cars.
Yes, sir. That has been something that we started to see in the fall when it started to get colder weather. We started to see families that come and they would ask for assistance, and we would sit down and talk to them. Okay, you need a place to stay? I said, no, I have a place to stay. It's my car. I just need a place to park my car. So we have family, mom, dad, and kids who live in their cars, but they just need a safe place to park. So they park with us overnight. They have a safe place to take a shower. They eat breakfast with us, and then they're on their day. So you might see them during the day as if nothing.
As if nothing,
Yeah.
right. That's interesting because there's quite a few of them, and I even saw a portable shower place for them as well.
Yes, sir.
As well. So you do provide them with the basics. I mean, personal hygiene and also even probably some food, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. It's very basic. So one thing I cannot guarantee, I can guarantee food. I can guarantee you a safe place to stay. What I cannot guarantee you, because of the volume of people, is I cannot guarantee you hot water. But you can have a shower and everything else.
How are these kids that you're watching or seeing, these families in cars? They're people from Laredo, I would
Yes, sir.
imagine. The kids are going to school.
Parents drop off their kids at school and they go through their regular day.
Do their work, or I don't know
Yes,
what
sir.
they do, but
Yeah.
they do their business.
Yeah.
They pick up their kids after school and then come back and park inside
Yes, sir.
your institute.
Yeah.
And just wait for the next day.
It's a regular day.
Right.
And I think the best thing I can say is that, for them, something happened to make them lose their house or
Which
their
I was going to
apartment.
ask you, what stories have you heard from them about how did they get themselves in this type of situation?
It's usually a death, divorce, disease, some type of illness that had a huge impact on their life and forced them to lose everything. And so they just need a fresh start.
Right.
And so that's what we can offer them is just basically a fresh start. Right.
And you do, because I saw that you do have, you said the basics, you have food, you have a place for them to stay. You lock the gates, I would imagine, every evening, and you open it, and you have someone literally every day, every moment of the day, and literally on a daily basis, you seem to have over 100 families there.
Easily. We just before I left today, I had a young mother with a 1-year-old who had someone found her in the plaza. She had been staying here, and she's a United States citizen. She's from Laredo, and the taxi driver recommended her to us, and she came over.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible. And a lot of them, and some of them are you mentioned earlier in the earlier segment that some were pregnant even.
Oh yeah.
But I would imagine you're doing whatever you can in terms of prenatal and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Best as you can.
we do have an understanding with the City of Laredo Health Department. So when we get someone that's in that situation that needs some kind of prenatal care, we do get them to the clinic, and then they write prescriptions for them. We go and get the prescriptions filled and take care of them as best as possible.
What do you think Laredoans, other than becoming aware about this situation, what do you think Laredoans can do to help their fellow man on instances like that?
I think a simple thing is, like you mentioned earlier, you see a lot of homeless people in certain parts of town, and sometimes you get intimidated, or you get scared, or you roll up your window.
Yeah.
But what I've found is that just a simple hello to reestablish that connection to humanity. Ask them what their name is.
Well, that's a good one. I don't think we've ever really done that, but
Yeah.
But you should definitely. I always try to, if I do have a quarter or a dollar, I've always believed that the homeless have. You never know. It's God's faces.
Yeah.
They have God's face right there, so you never know which one is God's face. So I've always said that, and we should always assume that. Not assume. Always expect that they're human, and obviously we are all connected,
Yes.
at least spiritually, and certainly we need to do what we can to help our fellow man. What we're going to do is we're going to take one more short break, and we'll talk about the other types of programs the church provides. Welcome back to our final segment with Pastor Smith, who's here to talk to us a little bit about the work he's doing with the United Methodist Church and the people in our community. Coming back to the issue, we talked a minute ago about homeless people. The issue of mental health, how does that come into the picture, or how serious is mental health issues affecting homelessness?
I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Especially in our culture, our community, it's taboo sometimes to talk about mental health. But one thing that we have discovered is that poverty impacts everyone that we work with. But poverty is a physical state of less, but it's also, I guess, more profoundly, it's a mental state of less. They've been taught that they are less and they live in less, and so they think that way. And so part of what we do is also offer counseling.
Well, with dealing with immigration, we talked earlier about the type of help that you're giving them, physical, at least providing with necessities. What other services do you provide a lot of these asylum seekers?
So for asylum seekers, we provide counseling for them. We can connect them to attorneys at their final destination. We can help them contact their relatives. We can help them interpret as best as possible the immigration policies and laws.
Yeah.
Those are the basic services that we offer.
Now, you said most of these asylum seekers are actually just passing through Laredo. They're not really going to be staying in Laredo.
Correct. Most of them have, when they're released, they have a destination somewhere in the United States.
Or they tell the government they're going to Houston or Chicago
Yes.
or somewhere else.
Houston, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, New Jersey, all over the United States.
Right.
It's just getting them there.
It's just getting them there.
Yes.
As it relates to the local homelessness family unit, what type of services do you provide them as well?
The same thing, actually, anywhere from counsel and care, food, clothing, helping them understand their rights. Because when a person is homeless, they think that they have no value, and they forget about.
Well, they physically feel they have no value.
Yes.
Unfortunately, right. You're right. So you offer them.
We remind them that not only do they have a value, but they have certain rights that remain with them, even though they live in their car
That's
or
right.
they live on the street. They have rights that cannot be taken away.
That's right. We never got a chance. I think we'll talk about it next time, the issue of drug addiction. But are there any type of services as well that you have there for people
Yes,
with drug addiction?
we do work with. Sometimes we get referrals from people who are codependent or have different situations. They just want to talk. They can come to our counseling program as well.
One other program that you oversee is the issue that you have a radio station or you have
Yes.
radio services. Can you explain that to the public?
Yeah, sure. We have live radio Monday through Friday from 8 to 11, 91.3, and it's also on Facebook Live. And what we do is we open that so there's anyone in the community that has a program that they want to share and they need a platform to do that, they can come to our place and we can schedule them, no problem.
Awesome. Well, that goes to, I mean, you are definitely providing with all kinds of ways of them expressing themselves and, of course, reaching out and asking for help. And obviously, you all are providing the help. Finally, the United Methodist Church has been providing all of these services, but at the end of the day, they also have the role of providing spiritual assistance. Tell us a little bit about that.
So one thing that we believe is something called discipleship. So discipleship is not a class, it's not a program. It's looking at the person as a whole individual. I cannot minister to your soul if you're hungry, right? So we got to address all the areas, your spirit, your mind, your body, your soul, before we can talk to you about what's good for your soul. We got to fill your belly.
That's right. And you provide them with church services and counseling and everything that goes with it, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
My goodness, you really have your hands full. If people want to help you, where can they contact you?
They can drop by anytime, Monday through Friday. We're in the corner of Washington and Santa Maria. The physical address is 1102 Santa Maria. They can also call us 956-718-2070. And we're actually there every day of the week.
Well, again, I remind the public that they're actually, all the churches in Laredo, all the nonprofits organizations, a lot of them are doing the type of work that we as individuals should be doing it. We can help them if we provide them with volunteer hours, if they can provide you with donations in terms of food, or even some money situations where you can provide them with financial services or money so that way they can purchase certain items that they need to get as well. They're doing their part, and I really congratulate the church. I'm very glad that I was able to talk to you. I've been wanting to talk to you about it because I know it's something that affects all of us in Laredo, homelessness and all these immigration situations that are happening, very unique only to the border. It's important that we certainly step up to the forefront and deal with some of the social ills, and I'm glad that you all are doing that. So I guess on behalf of 24/7 Laredo, I want to thank you for your continued support and continued support for Laredo, and hopefully we can help you in some way to raise you some money or do something, because it's so important that we understand that we all are part of one community. Like you said, every homeless person that we see one every day. They're part of our community, and they're not going to go away. So we might as well obviously need to help them to make the best of their lives so that we can improve our lives as well. So again, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of 24/7 Laredo Talkshow, I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching. Please press the like button, and we'll be seeing you next time as well. Thank you.